You know the phrase, like, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life?
Yeah.
That's a lie. That lies they tell.
Yeah,
Okay?
why you say that?
I love what I do. And I love doing it. And I have a certain skill set to do it. But that does not mean that I am not working really, 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 really hard.
I'm trying to give me a bag. I'm trying to give me a bag. I'm trying to give me a bag. I'm trying to give me a bag.
What's up? What's up? You are now listening to FY Fly the podcast, and I'm your host, Hassan Thomas, along with Remy, and we are here to share tools on how millennials can budget, save, invest, and understand student debt and credit to achieve financial freedom. If you're a high school student, college student, or someone who's interested in gaining more financial insight, this podcast is for you.
I'm trying to give me a bag. I'm trying to give me a bag. I'm trying to give me a bag. I'm trying to...
What's up, my fly folks out there? How y'all doing? I hope y'all doing all right. Welcome to the FY Fly podcast. My name is Hassan Thomas, aka the kid that did and the man that can, baby. And today, we're going to be chopping it up with personal wealth manager for artists and entertainers and the CEO of RichBurg Enterprises, Miss Michelle RichBurg. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Of course. We here on FY Fly, and what we like to do, we like to skip the fluff and get right into the good stuff. So especially since the pandemic, I feel that a lot of people have picked up new hobbies, have started new businesses, and have added a lot of different things that take up time and money to their lives. So how have you dealt with the balance of being a boss, being a mother, balancing family time with business time? What's been your experience with that?
If I can't take care of myself and have, feel refreshed and revived and rested, then I can't be the best me to take care of you, to take care of the client, right?
For sure.
I have learned to become non-apologetic about that. And like I said, it's a muscle that I had to build. And even when it comes to friends and family and my personal life, if, there's always something going on. There's always somebody's birthday to celebrate. There's always an occasion.
Yeah.
And if I said yes to everything, I'd be out of my house every weekend, every night, So I do what's best for Michelle.
And that's not selfish. And that's what I want people to understand and know, that it's not selfish to do what's best for you, because everybody else go do what's best for them. So if you do what's best for other people, you know what I'm saying? So I feel that.
100%.
I'm telling you, so many people, they put people before themselves. And then, like you said, if you're at 50, how are you going to take care of somebody else and try to be, give 100% of yourself if you're at 50?
Right.
So I completely agree, with that motion. And I just want people to honestly and truly understand that it's not selfish to put yourself first, to go chase after your dreams, to handle your business and prioritize your mental and physical health. And I want to touch back to what you said. You said for the last 25 years, you've been going at 200%. So for the younger folks listening, was that 200% necessary to get to where you are now? Or like where is the balance? Are you telling your son, are you telling younger folks, hey, you got to go 200% to get to where I am now? Or is there more of a balance now with, some of the things that we know with mental health and all those things? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
No, I agree with you. You definitely, and people are talking about it more now. In other words, I feel that it's always been a struggle or a thing, but people didn't really verbalize it or talk about it before, right? And now that we have COVID, or, have come out of the pandemic and, all the other craziness going on in the world, it's a topic that people aren't shying away from, right?
Yeah.
But what I will say to the younger person, which I say to my son frequently, is that, when you, and I can't, there were different stages in my life where I did realize kind of what I was here on earth to do, or what I would say my purpose was. I couldn't identify it as eloquently as I can now back then. But to that point is, I was focused and I was driven on a goal, whether it was being an excellent mother and trying to provide and give my son all the opportunities that I thought he needed to have to be, you know, a successful Black man in this world, whether it was regarding my career and moving up the ladder in corporate. So I was always the person that went the extra mile, that did, you know, everything that was within my wheelhouse to accomplish the goal that I needed to accomplish. Right?
Gotcha.
And I was young, and I was driven, right? However, and I was a single mom too, right? So that's just another level, a different set of shoulders that you kind of have to take on, because at the end of the day, we got to do what we got to do, right? And we know that Black women get it done. So I'm not discounting the fact that now to say you shouldn't rest and you shouldn't take time for yourself and protect your mental health of everything that I just mentioned before, because that all is very important. But you have to be able to have the skill set to know for yourself, you know, when to go and when to press stop. So if you know that, you know, again, some of the things that I talk about or encourage people to do if they can, not clients, but is get a side hustle. So RichBurg Enterprises started as a side hustle over 20 years ago. I was just doing bookkeeping, right? But again, it was for me to bring in extra money because I was a single mom, etc. So it's kind of like a thin line, right? So mental health and setting boundaries and doing all of that is a must. But I'm not saying that you shouldn't be driven and purposeful about accomplishing your goals. So you have to be able to figure out that line.
So what I picked up from that was be intentional, set your goals, and then from setting, so where I'm slipping up at is I'm not setting intentional goals and I'm just going hard 24/7.
Right.
Because I'm young and I love what I do.
Right.
So now I'm like, man, these last 3 days, literally, like for real, these last 3 days, my head has been hurting like right here, like just on this right side. And my pops, he joking, but he's serious. Like you probably thinking too much. You know what I'm saying?
And it's also a week too, because I've had a week. Thank God it's Friday. I've had a week like that myself. But I'll also say in this vein of this conversation, you know the phrase, like, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life?
Yeah.
That's a lie. That's a lie. That lies they tell.
Yeah,
okay?
why you said that?
So, because, like you just said, and I love what I do. Like I said, I can express what my purpose and my passion is now a little better than I could, you know, when I was in banking, or, you know, it led me here, but now it's intentional. I know exactly what I'm here to do, right? Yeah. So, and I love doing it, and I have a certain skill set to do it. But that does not mean that I am not working really, 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 really hard, right? And so even when you don't see me, or I'm not talking to clients, or it's the weekend, because that's my quiet time, and you know, I can catch up on paperwork and so on and so forth. And in the world that we live in, as you know, emails and text, it's like instant access with everyone. Everything is like microwave mentality. And that can be a burnout in itself, right? Yeah. So you can love what you do and be intentional and be purpose driven, but you're still working. Yeah. Right? So it is very important to set boundaries. 100%.
I love it. And I want to touch back really quickly on the artists and the entrepreneurs. You know, they're normally not paid on a routine basis like an employee who gets paid weekly or bi-weekly. You know, so what's some of the actionable ways and actionable steps that you've helped these clients create a budget and manage their finances?
So 100%. COVID happened. It came out of nowhere. When the music industry, the entertainment industry, people that tour, you couldn't tour. Or if you were the event planning business, there was no events. So I believe that experience should always be in the forefront of people's mind, to know that they need to pay themselves first, and they need to have money set aside, for emergencies, for different expenses, right? So,
For sure.
so one of the things that we do, so there's the bill pay account that we pay the client's bills from, there's their discretionary spending, and that's the money that they, go do whatever it is that they want to do or they need to do. We have retirement. So we organize it, budget it, and, handle it all,
So why is that bucket method why does that bucket method work so well for these young artists? And I think for people listening, they can, put that into their game, into their financial, repertoire as well, start separating some of these categories of expenses. So why does that work so well, you think?
Well, I think, again, it's about discipline. So again, we're here managing the process. That's the business management part, of what we do. But at the end of the day, it's a client's money. And so if a client said, if a client has an emergency, or if a client calls and says, I want to go buy a Bentley, or, whatever the situation is, we have to, figure it out and work with the client to meet their request. But the reason that it works, because we're not operating out of the same account. Right. So if you have a bill pay account where we're paying rent, we're paying car notes, we're paying insurance, we're paying your credit card bills. But then that's the same account that you go to the ATM and you also swipe when you're out your debit card, then that's going to interfere with the budget that we have set. Right.
Makes sense.
That's why it works that they have a discretionary spending account, which is their slush fund. And we've agreed how much money is going to be in there on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis or whatever that is. And the savings account and retirement account is also just important, because that's the money that we put aside for the future.
And we were talking about, spending, and I want to get your thoughts on, how has social media impacted our youth spending habits, whether it be your son, whether it be, the artist that you manage and talk to on the day. Can you give us like some experiences that you've seen, like social media, or your thoughts on what has social media done for, our youth when it comes to spending?
So I would say there are a lot of positive things about social media, because we met at FinCon, but
True.
You are able to connect with people that are in your field or like-minded. You can get inspiration. I know a big part of my take on social media, positive take, is the inspiration and the spiritual leader that I have come across outside of, my being in New York or whatever have you.
Yeah.
So there, it does provide, level of positivity. On the negative side, I would say that, everybody is perfect on social media, right?
Yeah, or they make it seem like it, showing nothing but highlights.
I say that in quotations, but, and it's a, so no one doesn't have real life or problems, or it wouldn't seem to be, I would say, what they reflect. I would also say that, so this is an old saying that my grandmother would say, but you have the element of wanting to keep up with the Joneses, right? So, there's a lot on social media, and not just artists or in the entertainment world, but just folks that are flexing, if you will, or flashy. So you may feel, oh, so-and-so, got a Lamborghini truck, so now I'm going to go get the next, 2023 Lamborghini truck, or whatever the next best thing is. I find that social media can be negative in that way, because you could, if you're not mentally strong, or just, especially a young person, you can think that that's reality, and 95% of the time it's not reality. Right? So it's again, I'm coming from a place of being 55 years old, right? But the younger folks, and that's been on the news and in the media a lot about the mental health, as we were talking about before, which comes from different aspects, but, kids that commit suicide because of things they saw on social media.
Yeah.
We obviously have, the mass killings and people are, posting stuff or have access to these, I don't know, I'm saying dark web, but, I guess platforms that promote that kind of violence and crazy stuff. So just like with anything else, there's a balance to it. And I think that it's very, very important to also shut it off. That's another one of my boundaries. That has nothing to do with anybody else but myself. But I don't go on social media during the day unless it's, the weekend. But when I go on, it's, when I'm shutting down, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night and I'm sitting on the couch or whatever, because I'm intentional, right? So my Monday through Friday is about me, getting up, doing what I need to do, my prayer, my meditating, setting my goals and intentions, for the day and getting into business and what I need to do. If I go on social media, even though I follow a lot of spiritual leaders, it will lead you down a different path, because what comes up on your feed comes up on your feed, right? So I just think that, it is what it is, and I think it's here to stay, and it's not going anywhere. But I think that you have to be able to have a strong mind and, again, be disciplined and, just live your life and not live your life through something or someone that you're seeing on social media.
One of the best quotes that I've seen on social media was, "Don't compare your chapter 3 to somebody else's chapter 30."
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that's one of the great quotes that people can really take into is run your race, stay in your lane, and keep on trucking with your purpose.
Right. 100%. 100%. And that's why I said I think a lot of it has to do with mindset too. And, younger folks, it's just I guess another way of when I was younger. Again, my grandmother used to say, don't try to keep up with the Joneses. And it didn't matter if, my best friend could stay out till 9 o'clock at night. I needed to be in the house when the sun went down. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to, as you said, stay in your lane and, and just be mentally strong.
For sure. So if we could take CEO Michelle back to graduating high school or college with the same knowledge that you have now, what would you do? Would you do anything differently? What pathway would you take?
Yeah, I wouldn't have credit card debt.
Hey, that was with the quickness.
I wouldn't have credit card debt. I think that's so many people's downfall, because when you go to college, they bombard you in the cafeteria or in the different halls or whatever with the applications for student cards and so on. So I've always loved to shop. And back then, literally 1920, I had every credit card, and I just spent money and never thought one day about paying them back.
Yeah.
Even though I've always worked. I've always had 2 and 3 jobs, and because I've always loved money and wanted to have a certain lifestyle. But I just had the mindset, which a lot of people, do, and in high school, college, is just, oh yeah, I'll have this plastic. It's not real money, and I'll just not pay it back, or pay it back when I get around to it. So I obviously learned that lesson very hard and fast.
And I have one more question for you. I want to read you 2 quotes, and I need you to tell me which one is more accurate in your opinion. All right?
Okay.
All right, vet. So the first quote is, "More money, more problems," like Biggie. And the second quote is, "Money can't buy happiness." Which one do you believe is more accurate in your opinion?
Well, first I want to say I did have the pleasure and the honor to work with Biggie when he was alive.
What?
The second thing I'll say is,
that's crazy.
Money can't buy happiness.
Okay, that's which one you going
Money
with?
can't buy happiness. If you don't have joy, you can have all the money. So the Powerball, I think it's Powerballs, man. It's 825 million. I think it's going to be tomorrow, right? Because nobody won yesterday. So I'm going to play. I've been playing. I don't even need 800. But, I could do a lot with a little. So, but if you could have all the money in the world, you could win that. But if you don't have joy, then you're not going to be happy. It has to come from within. You have to be happy with yourself. You have to, whatever your individual spirituality is, you have to know that stuff can't make you happy, right? So I definitely, that quote is true, because you're still going to be miserable. You're just going to want more things. You're just going to want more money. You're just going to want more power. You're never going to have a level of satisfaction.
That's key.
So that's work that has to be done from within. So, yeah, that's what I believe.
That's key. That's key right there. And thank you so much for joining the FY Fly podcast. If you have any final words, any final gems to drop on them, and then also let them know where to reach you. Go ahead.
So you can reach me. My website is www.richburgenterprisesllc.com. My Instagram is @the_Michelle_RichBurg, which you can buy the book, Still I Thrive, the link in my bio or on my website. And I would, love to keep the conversation going and provide whatever financial insight that I can. I do know that is my purpose of where I am now, is share my knowledge and try to provide, value to those that, want to hear it.
Come on now. Come on. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Of course. I knew you was going to rock out and come on and kill it and provide so much value. So I'm just thankful that you were able to hop on and we worked through our technical difficulties. And now we got us a great episode with a lot of gems, a lot of value. And for the people listening, make sure that you take away some of the small gems that you've heard here today. Everything that we've talked about may not be here for you, but if you can find a couple things that you can really implement into your life, that's going to have those big monumental habits that you can change over time to really see some big results. So again, thank you so much. And for everybody listening, stay safe, stay invested, and stay FY Fly. We'll see you next week.